these sessions will be recorded, and they will then be available. So if you have colleagues on your office that couldn't attend or didn't register, and then you want to say, hey, there was a nice tip that we saw on yesterday's webinar about 2D tips and tricks or whatever, and I think that you should share. So this way, having the sessions recorded, this will allow everyone to access the recordings and to use them for later referencing. So let me introduce the concept of this. So basically, we created this ARCHICADNOW as almost like a TV show or something, or a radio show that that it will occur at a certain day at a certain time. So the idea is to keep this weekly, every Tuesday at 5 p.m. And we have this series. Mostly will be presented by me and James. So as you all know, we're from GRAPHISOFT, or most of you know us. And from time to time, we would like to have guests. So clients, it could be also like some third-party developers or manufacturers, whatever. So we'll try to get this relevant information for our users. And we want this to be lighter than a user day, and also more open. So we want this to be a discussion. That's why we also choose a meeting platform that would allow people to interact with us. So to guide you through this platform for interaction, we have James here presenting with me. And we can see here the people that are presenting or that are joining this session. Hi, Mariana. And whoever wants to talk, they could talk, just like Mariana did just now. And if you want to put a question, would be good to have write first on the chat so that James can see the questions. And if they're relevant, you will interrupt me and I will answer live, or we could address this after as like a discussion thing. So Yanka is asking, should we follow on our ARCHICAD or just watch? I suggest that we watch this, and since it's going to be recorded and you want to follow later, you can do that. So we will be sharing the link with the recording with everyone that registered for this webinar. Okay, so putting this, let me continue to explain the concept. So this is the webinar series 1. So the first 4 episodes, so we're planning about 4 weeks. We'll have me today talking about some 2D tips and tricks that we can use to improve the project documentation. Next week, we will have Jorge Benitez from Hong Kong, from Enzyme. I think most of you already know him. He's a close friend of GRAPHISOFT and of me as well. And he will be talking about how they use parametric design in a specific type of architecture. I think this is very interesting. You'll see that the creative usages that they have for this parametric design. Then James will show the profile from ARCHICAD, the complex profile, making them parametric, how we can use that to design spaces at a conceptual stage. And then on the last week of this first series, I will also talk. I will talk again about creating a building material library and enrich them with specifications. So basically, you want to create your project specs, and you want to link them to your building materials. Up to a certain level, that can be done. So I'll be showing that on that session. So today's topic, as just mentioned, is about tips and tricks on how to use 2D. And I'll be covering mostly these 8 topics here. So how to create a surface, an image field, create a pattern on a symbol field, apply all of this to an element. And then this is almost like one bigger topic. And then we have like smaller topics So how to create a line type, place a figure or a billboard as a GDL object, and have some line work and fill consolidation to clean up our 2D of the drawings. Okay, so let's go to ARCHICAD then, and the first thing I will show you is how we create the surface. So basically, for this, I have on my desktop, I have here a library of images that I want to load into my project. And basically, I have this marble pattern here, or surface or image that I want to apply to my project. And this marble surface, you can see, is very irregular. It has 1, 2, 3, 4 different thicknesses. And we want to use this as a surface in our project. So the first thing I did is I created on the desktop a library of images, so a folder. This can be on the desktop or in another place. And now we'll load this into my ARCHICAD library. So I go under File, Libraries and Objects. And under the Library Manager, I will add that specific folder. So I'll go to the desktop, Library Images, and choose. Okay, so I click OK, and now these libraries will be available for me to use on this project. Okay.
And that's just a folder of images that you got off the internet, wasn't it, Marcelo?
Yes, yes. So basically, we can Google, download the image, whatever we want, and place on a folder. Very important to have a proper naming convention. Don't do like I just did now. That, for example, my desk in my library of images, you can see I just have marble tile. Probably we should have a proper folder structure. But later I plan to have a session about organizing libraries. So for example, here I have all these different trees that I want to use in my project, and they only have a name 5, 6, 7. So how do I know which type of tree is this? So another thing that we can do is like structure the elements to organize the library. Okay, so now these images are available here. I also dragged and dropped the image into my ARCHICAD file to see the dimension that this image should have. So to do this, you can just very clearly go to the desktop and just drag and drop the image that you want here. So I just dragged and dropped here, and then I scaled it to have the size that I wanted. So to scale, I just select it, and by clicking on this icon here, we can choose to resize. And I resize based on this end, having 1.4 meters. Okay, and so basically this is what I've done. And then I use these lines to trace the dimension of this surface. So basically what I want from this surface is I want to go here to this project or beginning of project that I have here, and I want to apply this material to this slab here and to this roof here. I don't know if you can see that this is slanted. And let's say by having this material slanted, I want to see on the plan the pattern of this material to be shown according to the true projection of the material. So whatever distance we see here between the different tiles, because this one is slanted, we should have lesser distance. Okay, so for this, we need to create few different elements. Number one is I'm going to create a surface. So I put here the palette with my attributes so that it's faster for me to create this. So I'll create a new material, and this will be my marble floor. Okay, and I can duplicate this stucco as a material, click OK here. I can choose the color that I have for this. So I want it to be something more like this color. And I will browse here to have the size of image or to have the image that I just added. So as you can see here, I have my library images and I have the marble tile here. So I just pick this one, becomes available there. And then to make sure that I have the same size, that's why I drag it first. I tap here, I type here, and I keep the original proportion of the material. So I have my marble floor created. Okay, so since I created this marble floor, I can just go quickly here, and I'm talking only about surfaces, not changing the building material, and I will place this surface on my slab here. So I will say that the top of this slab will be having the marble floor that I have just created now. So I click OK.
Does it need to be a seamless image?
Yes, that's a very good point, Yanka. Basically, you could see that if I have here, if I copy this fill a couple of times, it will join quite nicely, right? So this is a good trick. It should be a seamless texture, plus it should be like very flat. So if you have sometimes the image slanted when these lines are not properly joining, that ruins a little bit the concept. Okay, so you see here, I have the building material or the slab material applied. One interesting thing is that I can go and rotate it. Let's say I want to rotate this by 90 degrees. So I go back to my texture, rotate it 90 degrees, and it's rotated. Because it's easier for me to assemble it like this on this sloping roof.
I think with this slab by default it orientates to the longest edge on a slab. I think by default. But
sure?
You can show the align texture later.
Yeah, I can show that. Yeah. So I'll put the marble floor here as well, and you see it's following the same orientation, and we have our in 3D our building material applied. But when we go to 2D, what we used to show on the materials is a cover fill, correct? So the same way as I have a cover fill here on this terrain that is showing me the grass cover fill, and I'm using the grass green surface. I want to have a cover fill here, but I don't have this pattern created, right? So what I have done here is I went to my to the texture that I got here, and I just traced over it with lines so that we will have the same. So now I'm just trimming all the lines here. So I'm trimming the lines where I had them. If you notice, I really took the, let me see, okay. I see that I should have kept this one. So these lines are not there. So I'm using the line tool for this, and we can extend here to the end of it. So let's see here, line. Okay. So line, Control A. Okay. So very important is we shouldn't have these end lines here unless you want to have it in one specific part. So you see here, this one only has a junction here. So if I don't put a line in one end or another, this piece will be quite long. So I will just keep the part here. And this one is like that. So let's see here. So you saw that I traced with these lines here. Apparently I forgot this line here and this line here. Okay. So my idea is to have the image here, and here I have what I call the pattern for my hatch, for my vectorial hatch that will be placed on the project. So this has to be done with lines and circles. So I will just copy these lines here. So I click copy, and I will create, by clicking here on the fills, I will create one new fill that will be a symbol fill that I will call it marble floor. And very important, you have to make sure this is a cover fill. You can play around with these icons to make sure it shows what kind of fill this is. Let's say like this, like that. So you see here that it shows a preview over there of what this texture will be. And then I paste here the pattern that I wanted. So you see here that because the texture is seamless and I trace over this one, it also looks seamless here. And I recall that the material, I rotated 90 degrees. So I also have to rotate it here by 90 degrees. Okay. So you see here we have the proper dimension of everything. So I click OK. And I have now a surface that I can use to place here. So basically, I can just select these two, one slab, go on the settings here and say that I want the cover fill for this slab to be the marble floor. And I will choose another color so it becomes black. So you see here, now I have this pattern applied to the slab. I will do the same thing for this roof. So I choose here the pattern that I just created. Where are you? Marble floor. Choose another pen. And very important, you can see here, I'm linking to the roof pitch with distortion. So you see what this means. Obviously this roof doesn't have much slant angle, but if I measure here using the measuring tool, this width is 550. Here it should be a little bit less. So you see it's 530 something because this element is slanted, correct? So by creating a pattern fill and creating a surface, we can make these two align and match. Okay, so well, this is exactly what I wanted to bring in as the first topic. So we created a surface, then we created an image fill, we created a symbol fill. Now I'm going to create an image fill in case we want to apply that to the floor as well. So I go to the fills here. I'm going to create a new fill. This will be an image fill, and this one will be the marble floor image. Okay, and again, I will browse for the same image, marble tile. Okay, I will have to choose the same rotation angle, and I will have to choose the same dimension. So now it's this one that is 1004. No, this one. Okay. So this will also be a cover fill. I click OK. And now instead of having as a cover fill this image or this surface, I could choose the marble floor image, and it would apply the image itself instead of the vectorial hatch. So this can be done also for any other element that has an horizontal representation. Okay, so here, for example, I choose, for example, image fill grass, and I will have a grass for image fill. So with this, we can change our 2D representation. Then on another session using graphic overrides, I will teach you how we can automate this so that in one view we have this vectorial hatch representation, in another view we have this image fill representation. So basically we have done already these 4 steps. Next thing I want to show you is how can I add, let's say I have this section here, and I want to add, for example, a billboard or an image to this section, right? So I have from the ARCHICAD library, if we go to the visualization, like under garden, we have this trees and bushes that we can use. Every time that it says that you can see this overlay of the image, like with different backgrounds, we can use this trick that I'm going to show you. So let's say I will use this tree here, let's say the birch, and because I'm on an elevation, I want to use a side view, and I want to insert it from the bottom. So I will click here, and I place this tree here. So I will keep this one as the original one. And now let's say what happens if I want to use one of those images that I have loaded to my library. So I can go to the settings of this one and choose to use a custom picture. So here, let's say I want to use this image tree, and I place it here. So you see that this was an image that I had from that I downloaded from the internet, and I can just choose to place it on my project. Okay. So with this, and even if it's a car or whatever image you want to add here, you can use this trick from the library. Okay, if we want to use the same thing to place it in 3D, we can choose to place it in 3D as well. But one thing will happen is that the 3D one, when it gets the representation elevation, it's just the object, so it doesn't show the 2D representation. So I advise you to have 2 layers for this. So one for, let's say, trees or 2D touch up in section, and another one for 3D. Okay. Same thing here. We can choose to have, but here we can choose to have the 2D representation change. Sorry, guys. I mixed it up. So this is how we can choose to edit a billboard. If we want to make this even easier, even faster, we can use what's called inside ARCHICAD as a figure tool. So the figure is basically an image that we can place inside ARCHICAD. And let's say I want to place that image here. So using the figure tool, I can choose to open, and in this case we can choose to open from an external file. So let's say I want to use this image. So I click to place, I choose to place this image. I can choose the anchor point, click OK, and I'm placing this image, right? Let's say that this image, I even want to bring it in front of my model, but it is covering what's behind. One thing that we can add here is transparency. So everything that is purely white on our image will become transparent. So you can see here on the info bar, we can just on and off this here. And if for any reason we want to flip this image, we can also click here on the mirroring. So you can do some very quick editing while touching up on this kind of views.
Yeah, in this case, this is not linked, so it's then this image is embedded into the file.
Yeah. One thing we have to be aware is, like, if we use a lot of this, this will increase the file size. So try to get images that are quite light. So you can see here that this one, I even see immediately the dimension of this image. So it's only 385 kilobytes. So it's not super heavy. But if I want to print this, I put this, let's say, at 100% and 1:50 scale. This would look okay in my printed drawing. Okay. Now, next thing, so we've seen the edit the billboard, place the figure. And now next thing I want to show you is how we can create the line type. So this one is. Do you want to show
the gradient in section or later?
Which one?
The gradient in section or later?
Yeah, I'll leave that one for later if we have time. Oh yeah, I can show it quickly now. So another thing that James is mentioning is that we can use a fill to represent, for example, the sky. So I choose a linear gradient fill, and I will have, let's say, very blue sky to white. So I just place here a fill, and you see that this gradient is controlled by 2 points. One is where one color starts fading. So the longer I make this, the longer, the smoother the fading happens. And if I rotate this, then the fading will follow that rotation angle. So if I put this on the back, now I have the sky on my on this area of my project. Another thing that we can do here, for example, is take out the outline of the fill so that it doesn't show here, for example, that there is a edge or an outline to that fill. Imagine if the fill is going something like this. Okay, that's what James mentioned. Thanks, James, for reminding me of that.
Yeah, the Windy just had a question about, we can't actually use the figure tool in 3D. So the figure tool only works in like floor plan, section, 3D documents, but not the 3D window.
Yes, yes. So in 3D, you have to use the GDL object. So with a billboard, so we have to use this one. And I think if we choose.
Yeah, there's a few GDL objects, like there's a carpet and there's a picture frame and these billboards that can all access images.
Yes, yes. So that's another one. So let's say carpet. Actually, picture is vertical, so we can use picture. So if I choose the picture without frame, I can choose a custom picture, and I can look for it here. Let's say I want this to be 5,000 by 6,006. So you see that with this one, I can place this figure. So I'm basically placing a billboard. So it's an object that that can carry any image we want to attach to it. Okay. Same. Sorry.
If it has a frame, you can't change the image?
You can. So I just take out the frame because it would be weird to have a frame on the outside with a tree. But yes, you can have the frame as well. Okay, so now last thing I wanted to show how we can create our custom 2D line. Basically, I have drawn with a line here with arcs. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with polylines, so it only works with arches and lines. So one important thing, the same way as we wanted a seamless 2D texture, a 2D fill, we want to have a seamless 2D line. So it starts on a point and it ends on the same point. So that if I copy this line and it continues, this line would be smooth, right? So what I do is I copy this group of lines. So I copy, and I'm going to create a new line type. So I'm going to create a new one, and this will be a new symbol line. So I'll call it curtains. Okay, and I can paste this here. Let's say I created an element that is 1 meter, so I'll put 10 mm here, and I want this to scale with a plan. So this 1 meter will be the model size, and I don't want any gap between the curtains, so I want this line to be continuous, so I put here 0. So basically you can see we can drag this to like little flags. One flag is the gap, another flag is the dash or the space. So we can type here and have the dimensions that we want. So I want 0 space between the two lines, and that this dash will be 1 centimeter. So basically now I choose this line here, and if I make it the curtain that I created and I stretch it, the line would follow this kind of representation. So let's say here I have next to this window, I will have even an arch, even a line that will be a curtain here. So I just choose, I'll make them green. I just choose the line type that I have created. So you see here, these are my curtains. And even if I change the scale of this, the wiggling dimension will always be the same, because we don't want a curtain to be, very big in a scale and very small in another scale.
But how are you controlling the wiggle size? Not the length, but the wiggle size.
It's based on here the dash that you choose. So either you draw it exactly as you want. Let's say I want it a bit bigger, so now this will be 1.5 meters. So now it's bigger, the wiggle.
So the dash size actually.
No, not the long wiggle. I mean the up and down of the wiggle. The
This
peaks
one,
and troughs of the wiggle.
you have to draw it. You have to draw it accordingly. So if I'm
okay, but say I draw it and I don't like it, it's too big. Can I change the one that I made? Can I just adjust it, or I have to make a whole new one?
well, you're saying that you would like to just adjust here like this, right? Okay, you want to make a bigger wiggle here, right? Something like this. Is that what you're saying? Like editing here?
Yeah, like that wiggle is maybe too big. I want it to be a tighter wiggle. I can change it.
You have to draw it again then.
Oh.
That's why. So let's say I have a 1 meter here, 1000. I suggest that you draw it first with a spline, because the spline draws the wiggle immediately. So let's say you want it more close like this.
Can I scale the spline?
I think we can, right? Yeah, we can. But you want it to like scale only in one direction, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's correct.
Let me see. No, that one, no. What you could do, I think, let me see if this works. Yeah, what you can do is with a marquee tool, stretch it less, but you might, yeah, might go crazy on this curtain.
So I think
Okay.
you would need to draw two splines, one that has a bigger wiggle and a flatter one, but the same length.
Do you have
Yeah.
to use this line, or can you use in the line tool? There's another one with a wavy line. You have, if you go to your.
Yeah, so that wavy line that you say, it's exactly the same what
The
I've
one up.
done here.
No, the one up, the wiggly one above the barbed wire one. Go up, up.
Oh, this one,
That one.
right?
The wave.
So
So can I scale the wave?
N. So you can go here to the wave, choose the wave, and you want to make it bigger. So I want my dash to be 10.
But is that the height of the wave, or is that the length of the wave?
It's
Is
the
the length.
proportion
So
between
it
the
will
length
grow
and the height.
proportionally, yeah. So if I have that line here, the wave,
Yeah.
it will become like this. If I want to control, make it smaller, I'll just go here to the wave and say, okay, now I want 5. But it will proportionally change it. I think what you wanted to do is make this shorter, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I
But
want
I
to
think,
make it shorter, and I want to put an arrow on the end to show that it can move, and then I want to save it, so if it's the right size, I can use it in other projects, so not just redraw it every time. I want to have like
okay,
a favorite curtain, and then just be able to add it into my other projects.
okay, it can be done. So now I will trace this as a line here. So I delete the spline. You want to have an arrow here in front. But if the line is bigger than 1, then let's say this is my arrow here. Or you want to, this is what you mean as an arrow?
Yeah, but it's like attached to the curtain, and it doesn't necessarily need the arrow on both sides. Can just be the one end, and like a straight line, and then an angle, so that it shows that this is the drapery.
Yeah, so basically I would copy the whole thing now, Control C, copy, but you will see what will happen. I'll create a new symbol fill, curtains, 2, and I paste. So let's say I want this with 1 meter again. So I will have another line here that I would choose these curtains. Where are they? Here they are. I put 1.5, let's say meters, 1,500. Oh, I forgot to do one thing. I forgot to make it scale with the plan. So you see that the line will only repeat over when the dimension is bigger.
Okay.
So if you draw from left to right or right to left, you will have the symbol in one direction or the other. Okay?
Can I stretch it?
You can, but once he gets over the gap space, he will start again the line.
Okay.
So I think
You
that
can add
what
that
you
arrowhead
need,
to the line.
you need to have multiple lines here with different dimensions of curtains in your case.
Okay.
So you can select a line and then attach an arrowhead in the actual line tool.
Will it look like the same item? Like it'll look like that's one drapery, or will it show up on the plan as like two different things? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, but this shows you how you can create like multiple and have in the library multiple ones. So the last thing I wanted to show is the line work and fill consolidation. So basically, if we select multiple fills, we can go under edit, and under reshape, we can do a fill consolidation. And as you can see here, we have fills that are the same with different pens, fills that are different and are all intersecting. So you see that they're merging adjoining fills, trimming overlapping fills, merging identical, as if they have identical outlines. So if I tick this one, you see that because this one has a different line type, it didn't connect, and this one they also didn't connect. So it just subtracted there. So if I do this again and I take all the limitations out, I go on the reshape, fill consolidation, and I will merge regardless of their outlines. Merge settings here, I don't care about the layers. I don't want to trim overlapping fills. Click OK. Okay, and hey, why is it not joining? Okay, so let me do this for the lines and see if it goes through. I think it's because they all have different attributes here. And line work consolidation. We will delete duplicated lines. You will explode polylines into lines and arcs. I will ignore the layers as well and different. So you see that it will, lines that are the same, it will be, and they're touching, they will become only one. Lines that are overlapping and they're the same, there will be only one. If we have multiple lines overlapped, they will become only one. I will do a separate session on this because we can clean up when you want to hand over a CAD drawing to a third-party consultant. This will be very useful. So I just wanted to launch the team today, and we will see how this consolidation can be done both for lines and fills. So you see here I had like a group of lines overlap, and now every time that they're different, they will be interrupted and another line will be placed. So pretty much this was the set of elements that I wanted to introduce today. I wanted this to be a very light session, and then we'll go and focus on other things. So I thought of including like 2D objects that we could create to add to our library, like, you know, curtains, like springs for the cabinets, nuts and bolts, even this kind of fixings for a suspended ceiling. But we can cover this on other sessions. So guys, pretty much this was it. I don't know, James, is there any questions that we should get from the audience?
No, not really. So
Okay.
only what we've said. It's worth noting though that when you're creating a new surface, that always try to match the cinema, the Cinerender
Yes,
textures
yes.
to match the.
Yeah, well, I didn't go through that. Actually,
Yeah.
when we do the building material thing, I want to go more in detail into that. So that then we can even use that on the graphic overrides.
Mm-hmm.
Maslow,
So,
you
yeah.
want to, Maslow, Chidam here.
Yes, Chidam.
You want to share with them the add-on that you can show
okay.
another time, but you can for the first solution, yeah.
It's already available on the website, right?
We will be sharing on the website, but you can mention about the add-on.
Okay, so basically, yeah, we'll do another session covering that. But we have developed, as Peter mentioned, an add-on where basically by dropping a fill or an image into that add-on, it will automatically create image fill, a surface, and a building material. So basically, instead of us going and matching the link every time that we add it, it will do everything in one go. So Jorge, I knew you were gonna like this one. And yeah, at least you know it's simpler in terms of generating the attributes. We'll do probably a session just based on that. Okay,
that's amazing.
So I hope that this was food for thought for you guys, and we can use these little tips and tricks into your projects. If you guys have any suggestions for other sessions, you can add here to the on the chat room.
Marcelo.
Okay? Yes.
Kiwa here.
Yeah. Hi, Kiwa. Yes.
You mentioned that this webinar is being recorded. So how do we access it? Is it from the website or where?
Okay. I think we will get the recording and then we will send you a link with the recording. Another thing, we'll be sharing this into our social media, the part with the tips and tricks. So you can choose, if you follow us on the social media, you can see here we have case studies. So actually, Kiwa, you'll be featured there in our Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We'll have the recordings for this. We're also creating, sharing these videos into LinkedIn, into YouTube, but they will be then linked to these social media platforms. So if you guys want to follow us here, I would ask you or encourage you to do so. So I'll leave this here for a little bit. And yeah, we'll talk to some of you if you want to, if you have interest to present some of your projects or to show some of the things. I already asked some customers to help us with this. I'll talk to you privately later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, what I would... Really cool, Marcelo.
So who is Eugenio now or Jorge?
It's
both of you. Okay. So yeah, next session we'll have already the two of them presenting or one of them presenting. So basically, you can follow us here. And one last thing, if you could complete this short survey, so there has some feedback that is valuable for us to take into account on the next sessions. And also, you can suggest what is other topics that you would like to see covered on this kind of events. As you see, probably one lesson that I take from this is that I'll probably keep it shorter in terms of topics, because it's really nice to have the interaction, and I'd rather talk a little bit more with each one of you and address what each one of you want to do, other than just try to do a demo that is a one-way kind of thing. So if you once you all finish this short survey, this is it. This is all I had for today. If anybody has some last remark that you want to tell us, please let us know. Let me see if we have.
Thank you, Marcelo.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you so much.
So I see already some suggestions.
Thank you, everyone.
Guys, looking forward to have you in the next week's session with our friends from Spain, Hong Kong, and so on. Brett, I'll try to cover one on curtain walls for you. Okay, guys, so thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the evening. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.